People dog Pearl. Oh, she's a poor man's Fresh and Fit. Really? How many poor man's Fresh and Fits are out there? 2, and I'm sitting on one of them.
Oh.
No. Listen. People dog Pearl. Oh, you just bit off of the Myron and Fresh formula. Do you know how fucking difficult it is to get more than one bitch at the same place at the same time?
I can't even fill up a podcast room without bitches I fuck.
You know what I mean? It's incredible. So what it comes down to, people who poo-poo what we do, at the end of the day, they think that they should be able to do what we do simply because they have access to the internet. And when it finally hits them that, wait a minute, they're better at this than I am, they have one of two choices. They can either accept that and need it, or they can hate. People choose to hate.
Let me tell you real quick what my experience was with the first show that we did, trying to have girls in the studio to debate. And I said during the show, I'm not trying to be Myron. I wasn't trying to be Fresh and Fit. We actually developed this idea where I was telling you about the idea.
Yeah, it was a good idea.
Yeah, it was basically going to be an experiment to see how long women can listen to men have locker room talk before they have to butt in. So unlike Fresh and Fit, the girls aren't invited to the table. They're off camera, and they're basically told, you can just come and drink and watch the show, but there is an off camera mic if you just can't hold back your opinion, but try to hold it back as long as you can.
That's perfect.
It got very messy. The first episode, I'm using girls that I sleep with because I couldn't get enough girls in a short time frame. But I tell you this, and I said during the podcast, once all the girls start going, it's hard to do what Myron does.
It is.
Yeah. And that's why I didn't bring the girls to the table to begin with. I had one girl that said, I'm not going to talk unless you put me at the table. I'm like, it's my first round. I'm like, fine, fuck it, sit at the table. I should have never done that. It's once everybody's talking over each other and shit, it's very, very difficult to regain control, and it gives you a little bit of...
and when you do what it takes, then people call you an asshole, because
I
they call
was
Myron
just
an asshole
gonna
all the
say
time.
that. So that is a tidbit of behind the scenes shit that people don't really understand. I didn't yell at anybody because I didn't want to be an asshole. I made everybody come, but you have to.
No, because
So if you don't fucking raise your voice and do what Myron does, like, yo, everybody get in line, you're fucking, or you,
shut the fuck
no
up,
one
get the
gets
fuck out.
quiet.
Yeah.
Especially when alcohol's involved. And
because a lot of the girls, they want to make their point, but they don't know how to summarize their point. They just run on
Yes.
that's just validating
Yes,
their point.
yes.
So she's like, but let me finish. I'm like, you made your point. You
Yeah.
can just stop talking now. And then they get butthurt and they go sit down. It's not the point. If you're going to come on a platform and you're going to make your point, get to the topic of the point, say what you got to say, and then let the fucking conversation roll. And they're like, but I think my emotions in this scenario.
But that's
that
what
scenario,
makes great content,
that
right?
makes great content.
It's very difficult because, dude, God, Myron, it's like you have to be part content creator, part ringmaster.
he's so good at what he does.
He's very, very good
And
at
when
what he
you,
does.
and that's the funny thing, man, isn't it? Nobody, when they see you, and I said this in the comment section just to one person. I'm not going to reply to everybody on this, but I made one point in the comment section. We weren't trying to be Fresh and Fit. We have a different concept. However, anybody who will debate a female on camera for the rest of the time is going to be compared to Fresh and Fit.
That's right.
But what they don't see is
the work
that goes into it, and
Yeah.
they don't realize that, like, dude, I'm not trying to rival anybody. I really don't know how Myron does it. It's very, very difficult to be a show host, a ringleader, and like you said, when you try it, I don't know how anybody that's tried it has come up with the motive that, like, oh, I'm going to get my podcast big and I'm going to try to be the next Myron Gaines. I don't know if I want to be the next Myron Gaines. It's so difficult what he does.
You'll start losing your hair.
And it shows you... It shows you that there's a talent in it. When you watch it for what it is, you think it's just chaos. Like, they're yelling, the girls are yelling, they're yelling, the red pill points back at no, but it really is controlled chaos. It's
what Myron does. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot to get good, and pardon me, and you're certainly going to make mistakes, but at the end of the day, the formula works, man. The formula clearly works. When you have people, namely women, come off the speak, this community's been around for over 20 years, right? It all started with the book The Game by Neil Strauss. And then, of course, Return of Kings came around. I was a part of that. Rolo did a couple of articles for Rouge. Then there's The Rational Male by Rolo Tomasi. We have pretty much gone unchallenged for all this time. Fresh and Fit was probably one of the first big podcasts that actually put the ideas that we talk about, the ideas that we espouse, to the test in real time with women who disagree.
Right.
Because, and we all talk bitches ain't shit and this and that and the other, but there's always somebody in the comment section who thinks they know more than you do, right? Well, guess what? Every bitch thinks they know more than you do. And here's why they get out of pocket, Rock, is because most girls in this country are not used to being told no.
Yep.
Oh my God, guys are dicks. No, you're fucking wrong. Girls are fucking hoes. And girls are fucking hoes, girls are fucking sluts, and that's a bad thing. Well, no, it's not. Yes, the fuck it is, and here's why. Of course, dude, of course they're gonna get butthurt because up until just now, they've never really been disagreed with in such a vehement
Yeah, at
way.
the moment, it's very, very celebrated at the moment.
And dude, Myron and Fresh are always outnumbered too. That after-hour show, there's like 9, 10, 11, 12 women, and then just them two or another guest.
They do a good job controlling everything because it was.
Well, they have a staff,
Yeah.
so the guys on camera, Pogson, Mo, Myron, Fresh, they've got a staff back there. They've got like 2 or 3 security guards. They've got like 4 or 5 recruiters
I'm
to
talking
keep the
about
peace.
just like in directing the conversation and like not because obviously we're still new to the space and we just had like a girls on our show and stuff, and even just having like a few girls and they have a whole table full of them, it's hard to not get everybody to talk all
But
over each other.
Richie made one point of saying like the dynamic of that first episode was kind of funny because it's one thing to pull women off the street that like have never been on the show, maybe never seen your show, or maybe have never met Myron or Fresh.
Cold.
The girls we had in there have already fucked Kevin. So like it's a different
no
type of
respect
they
for
got
him.
no respect
Awesome.
for the
That's awesome.
platform that they're on.
Yes.
So they were
So
just
they're
like,
just
we don't
gonna
give a
yell.
fuck. That's Kevin Savo. Like who gives a fuck? Like we're here, we're gonna say what we want. I feel like other girls might come in a little bit more reserved.
I got a
just touch.
question.
Well, when this thing takes off, you guys will start to get the respect to be like, oh shit, that's Kevin, Rock, and Mark. Check that out. Listen, I'm telling you, man, I've been on Fresh and Fit 20, 25 times, and it's funny to see the girls fucking get starstruck. They do.
Really?
Like, oh yeah, they act all bitchy and bratty, but one of the main reasons they now fall in line is because they are just enchanted with the aura of the great Myron Gaines. You know what I mean? And that for better or worse, that's really what keeps them in line, because guess what? If they step out of line, they know Myron's going to tell them to get the fuck out. There's going to be 8 people to tell them, yeah.
Let me ask you something. So when they have the girls on Fresh and Fit and they bring them on
Speaking of the penis.
to the tail, yeah, into the penis. When they bring the girls on, does he like brief them on
Yes.
like so like
Oh,
or
yes.
does he ever drop any in that have no idea what's going on?
Nope. So before every show, and this is something, and I'll brief you guys on all of this. I think I'll set up a meeting because dude, Myron has no problem, imparting wisdom on people. He understands the pie is big enough for everybody. But what they do is it's a 2-pronged approach. So they get all the girls together. They take the camera. Myron's like, hey, show some ass, show some tits. Like, we got to sell this thing. While they're still in the group, then Pogson comes up. They say, okay, this is how this goes. This is a discussion, 1 mic at a time. You can voice your opinion. You'll have the floor for X number of time. We have one of a couple of rules. Number 1, do not interrupt Myron. Number 2, do not interrupt Myron. Number 3, do not interrupt Myron. That's it. Dude, he tells him you can curse, you can swear. Don't be don't try not to be disrespectful. You can have strong opinions, but don't interrupt Myron. Don't talk out of turn. And for the most part, girls usually heed that. Yeah. Every once in a while, a girl kind of steps out of line and she gets put back in line or out of the house. That's how that works. But yes, the short answer to your question is yes. Before the show, they sit them down, they brief them. Okay, this is how things go. Yeah. According to the waiver that you signed, X, Y, Z, A, B, and C, and you all make sure. You guys have flown before. If you ever sit in the seat that in the middle of the airplane that has the emergency door, the stewardess always comes up and asks you, looks you in the eye, hey, in the event of a water landing or a crash, are you willing to help people out of the plane before your own? She has to watch you say yes so that she doesn't have to reseat you. Right. That's exactly what Pogson does. He's like, look at me, I want to see you say yes. Yeah. That way, when a bitch gets out of pocket and she gets kicked and they film that too.
Yeah. Who is Pogson?
Aaron Pogson, Chris Pogson, Aaron Pogson.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the producer.
I don't know him as Pogson. Okay.
I call him. I call everybody by their last name.
He's very genuine too. They were all very genuine when I talked to them.
Very, very cool. And Pogson is a tough guy. I don't think I don't know. I don't think if I were to throw hands with Pogson 10 times, I'd probably get him 5, but he'd probably get me 5. That's the way.
I wouldn't even want to cut Myron in line at the grocery store.
Yeah, Myron's a bad. He's a bad motherfucker, but he's a good guy. But yeah, they're very, very clear on the rules and the regulations, and they make sure that the girls know they get their verbal. They get their verbal and their non-verbal consent.
And they can't even sit down without signing that waiver.
Nope. Yep. They don't know. They can't, dude. He doesn't let them in the door. He does not let them in the door because that's Myron's place. You know what I mean?
It was definitely cool hanging with them in person. I've always said the only beef that I have with Myron is that ever since he became famous, the amount of times I've been laying in bed with a girl that I sleep with and she's on TikTok and she rolls over in bed asking me if I agree with shit Myron Gaines says. I'm like, I can't even believe we're talking about this. I'm 100%. Like, can you please get off of TikTok?
100%.
I mean, before Tate, I want to say Myron even more than Fresh than it just being because the girls just hate Myron. Like, they fucking... his fame was like, it was the first mainstream red pill thing that girls I date were bringing up to me.
Really?
And I don't like to talk red pill shit with girls that I sleep with. So I'm like, when the cameras are off, I'm out of red pill mode and I'm in bed and I'm trying to fuck. And this girl rolls over on TikTok like, oh my God, did you see what they said? And I'm like, will you please? I really don't want to get in a Fresh and Fit conversation with you.
My bitch was mad at me. I'm watching Fresh and Fit.
I'm like, yes, that's what he says. That's Myron. That's what he does. I agree with all of it. Put the phone down.
Yep, there you go.
Pretty
oh
much.
my God.
That's terrible.